Welcome to KQEG and Southern River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and fitness. Today, the spotlight shines brightly on UWL Eagle basketball head coach, interim head coach Kent Dembach, along with senior Milton Cummings and junior Brendon Manning. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
As we tape the show, February 1st, last night, tough loss at River Falls, number 24 ranked team in the country, overtime. Late night, early morning, I'm sure for you, Coach, but first time you've ever been introduced actually on this show and to the community, and I hear so many good things about you. And was it a difficult loss last night, though, starting with that?
Well, certainly any loss, is tough, but in particular, it would have given us our first opportunity to sweep an opponent in our league. River Falls won the league last year, returned the Conference Player of the Year, and Alex Henrik was a really, really good player. And they were preseason number one in the league. And we handed them about 3 weeks ago an early season loss when they were ranked 12th in the country. And then it would have said a lot for where we're growing as a program to go on the road and sweep a team, and beat our fourth ranked team on the season. Unfortunately for us, we just weren't able to complete the job. Had a 17-point lead at halftime, and ended up getting away from us a little bit in the second half and lost it in overtime.
Yeah, that I didn't know. 17 points at halftime. I'm sure that lived with you throughout the night. I hope you got a good night's sleep. I'm sure that bothered you. But all of a sudden, here we are, October 3rd, and everybody thought Ken Cable was going to be back again, sure. And unexpectedly, for family reasons and his position at UWL, he resigns his post. And you obviously saw that opening. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to pursue that?
Well, first of all, it's a great school, and the basketball program where Coach Cable had it rise to was certainly more than respectable. I mean, just coming off of winning a league championship 2 years ago, a championship that these guys were a part of, and I got spoiled growing up, certainly from being Central Wisconsin, following the WIAC, how good the basketball is here, certainly in our state. And when the opportunity came up, it's something that my wife is a graduate of UWL, and it's a place where she knows my passion, and that's certainly in Division III, and I would love to be in this league for a really, really long time. But more importantly, Terry, to be at a place where you can achieve great things, not only on the basketball court, but also in the community. And I think UWL is one of those very unique situations that can happen. And we're certainly looking forward to working hard every single day to make that a reality. Well,
I don't know if our viewers know this, but there were a lot of people that were high profile with an impressive resume that were looking at the job despite the late posting in October, and so obviously they saw something pretty special in you. We're going to come back to some of that, but Milton Cummings, a senior, before long, the chapter is over. You're on to something else, but let's go back a minute. From Wisconsin Luther, first time he's been on the show, 6'3" shooting guard, 2 letters in basketball, 1 in tennis, by the way. Yeah. I'm a tennis player in the Masters level. Not Masters meaning good, but Masters meaning older. And state championship, I remember you as a senior, and then as a junior, you were runner-up. So you had quite a high school career.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. Junior year, we made it all the way to the championship and just lost by, I think, a little over 10 points. I think it was 13 points, and lost a couple seniors, but our guys were really prepared to come back the next year and get after it to finish what we started, and that's what we accomplished.
Well, you started your career, I'm sure. You started your involvement in basketball when you were very young. Let's kind of go back quickly down the yellow brick road, memory lane. Who inspired you when you were real young?
My dad was coaching me every step of the way. He, even if he wasn't my real coach, he'd be on the sidelines, shouting from the sidelines, do this, do that, don't forget to box out. So I'd say definitely my father is one of my biggest inspirations.
Could you hear that voice on the sideline or in the stands when he wasn't your coach?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I had to tell him to quiet down every once in a while. So.
You know, I guess I can relate to that because I did that with we have 5 children. They all were good athletes and now grandchildren, and they can hear my voice once in a while too, and I hear them like, Grandpa, tone it down a little bit. But Brendon Manning, a junior from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Kennedy High School, and by the way, maybe our viewers can relate to Kennedy High School because it's a tremendous program. 3rd-team All-State, All-Conference, All-Metro. Played the All-Star game in the state of Iowa. That's pretty impressive, too.
Yeah, definitely had a good senior year. My junior year, kind of in the same situation we're in right now. We had a new coach, so no one really expected us to do very well, or no one really knew what we were going to do, but we made it to the state tournament my junior year. We lost in the first round, and then we made the state tournament my senior year as well, and we also lost in the first round, but I think we're definitely taking that program in the right direction. So
go back to your senior year, and you were looking at options to go to school. Mm-hmm. And what brought you to UWL?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't really going to play basketball in college. I was just going to go to University of Iowa, and I had my roommate and everything. And then we lost that game at state, and then I just couldn't really stand the chance of not playing basketball again. So I started to open up my recruitment, and I had an older brother who played basketball at Platteville and for 4 years, and he basically told me to come up to La Crosse and check it out, so I scheduled a visit and filled out a little recruiting questionnaire, and then just kind of went from there.
So UWL saw something special in you. Speaking of special, I'm sure you had some special talents when you were young. Who inspired you to get into the game of basketball?
I would say my dad, just like Milton. My dad was my coach growing up my whole life. You know, like Milton said, he was always just yelling at me on the sidelines and stuff. But
encouraging you.
Yeah, for sure. But I'd say my dad, and as well as my brother too, he was also giving me all these teaching points on what to do, especially when I got to high school and I started to play the post more, because I was a guard growing up my whole life, so I didn't really have like the post skills, so that was definitely helpful.
Now you have all kinds of skills.
Oh yeah.
As a result of playing multiple positions. Well, Milton, we talked about you're about to graduate, but let's go back to your senior year. I mean, you had a tremendous skill set. You had a gift, and it was obvious at the success you had in high school. You had other offers, too, to go to college. Mm-hmm. Go back to those recruiting days.
Well, we took a visit to University of La Crosse. My brother went here. He was a junior my senior year of high school. And he kind of showed me around. And then right after I visited La Crosse, I went up to the University of Moorhead, Minnesota. And it was snowing there. It was really cold, but I played with their team there, and I liked their guys, but I just didn't really see their campus fitting me very well like I did La Crosse. So I'd say that was kind of the deciding factor, was just the community that La Crosse had.
It was cold up there? Keep in mind that in Moorhead it's cold probably 11 out of the 12 months out of the year. So.
Yeah.
So we're glad it was too cold for you here. Yeah. By the way, as we tape the show here on February 1st, it's about below 0. So
yeah,
but it's going to be nice before too long. Well, Coach, it's a pleasure to have you as the head coach, interim head coach at UWL. But let's go back a little bit. You had a good career as a player in Holmen, and then after that, you had a couple coaching spots before you came to La Crosse. Start with your playing career.
Well, my playing career kind of started and ended in high school. I played 4 years in college at Carthage College, was a part of, and lettered 2 years there, but I was really, really good at the end of the bench and really good with the wrist and the towel. But we went to a Final Four, went to a Sweet 16, so I was a part of some really, really good teams, and obviously, more than really good, successful, and ones that made it to finished third in the country, my junior year. So that experience, along with my, being spoiled and following the WIAC growing up, it kind of started a love for Division III. But it's really hard to find a spot, certainly that can pay your health care in coaching basketball, really at any level. So after I was done with Carthage, was a graduate assistant at Ohio State, happened to get on there, and then went to Marymount University. That was my first kind of break into the college coaching. And then from Marymount University, I went over to George Mason University. And that was the first time that I could actually support myself and support my wife a little bit, although I don't know how much I really supported her on that salary, but that we could actually make a living coaching basketball. And you know, from there, Terry, I just had to make a decision if I wanted to be an East Coast guy or if I wanted to get back to the Midwest. So left George Mason after a couple of really good runs there and joined the staff at Northern Illinois. And that was a great experience for me there. Worked for a really good coach in Ricardo Patton, but got back to the Midwest where I wanted to be. And then from there, left Northern Illinois because, again, my passion was in Division III. Northern Illinois was great. George Mason were great experiences, but there's something special about young men like these two, you know, going out on the road last night and playing in a tough environment, a beautiful arena like we have at River Falls, and then to get up the next day right away and to get up for an 8:15, 8:30 weightlifting class or weightlifting session, right to class, and then over here and to practice. And they're doing it for the love of the game. I mean, that's what these two guys and those other 16 guys are doing on our roster. It's for the love of the game, and there's something so special about that as a coach. And it's certainly what attracted me, you know, not only to this level but to this league.
Yeah, and great experiences. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about that. Maybe somebody inspired you, but we're going to step aside just for a minute. When we come back, more here on 7 Rivers Sports Spotlight today, UWL Eagle basketball. We'll be right back.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to 7 Rivers Sports. Again today, UWL Eagle basketball, Kent Dembach, Milton, Cummings, Brendon, Manning. Before we went to break, Coach, you were under a lot of people, including your high school coach, and then you were involved with college in Carthage. You were a team 46-8 while you were there, a NC Division III national tournament. You played for a lot of coaches, including Coach Semling, who was a friend of mine at Point. Who has really inspired you, maybe given you a gift in terms of basketball knowledge and motivation?
Well, it starts with mom and dad, right? I mean, just like these guys. My dad was a really good player, and my mom was as supportive but at the same time as tough as any coach maybe I've had, where she's not afraid to call out exactly where I was a little shortcoming there. My dad would be more of the instructional. My mom would just kind of tell it how it is. But certainly you meet so many great people. I mean, that's the beauty, of basketball. You meet so many good people, coaches, players, that inspire you. And for me, inspired my coaching style. My first boss was Scott McClary, who moved on from Marymount to Muhlenberg. And then I worked for a really, really good man, and Coach Larinaga, who moved on from George Mason, is now the head coach at University of Miami, who kept things simple. But if you did things that were simple, you can be really, really successful. And the similarities between Coach Larinaga and Coach Semling, the head coach at Stevens Point, are so similar that not a whole lot of gimmicks to them. If you can take care of the basketball, if you can defend, and you're committed to that each and every single day, you can win a lot of basketball games. And that's really my foundation. I think our guys would agree with that, where maybe sometimes somebody might think it's almost too simple, right, where there's not a whole lot of flash to us. But at the end of the day, I think that's the way that you can really achieve at the highest level, certainly in our league. And if you do that, you're going to be one of the best teams in the country.
Well, you just described a friend of mine passed away a couple years ago, Coach Rick Majerus. You described him. You described Coach Knight. You described Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
That's exactly how they coach the game. And there's no question about it. And you described Dick Bennett, of course, also. Milton Cummings played in 20 games so far. You're averaging 7 points a game, and 3 rebounds. Assess what you've done so far this year.
I'd really say that my role on this team has been more of a trying to step into a leadership role. Coach has really challenged me to try and every practice, every drill, kind of get our guys going, make sure we're focused in, and that's been a really big challenge for me this year. Just because the last 3 years I haven't done that at all during practice, but during the games I just kind of fill my spot and try and do my role. Like Coach said before our game last night, we got to play up to the line of standard, and once we do that, who knows who's gonna play above that, but we need all our guys to play to that line.
Everybody has different leadership skills, and they demonstrate leadership in different ways. How do you demonstrate it?
Before the season, I'd definitely say that I'm more of a lead by example kind of leader, but throughout this season I've been trying to become more of a vocal leader, just because that's what our guys need. We need someone to step up and say, hey, this is what we got to do, and this is what we got to think about when we're in each drill and when we're going into the game. When we huddle up during the game, we need someone who's vocal to kind of settle us down and keep us focused.
So you really are what I would call an assistant coach in terms of your role as a player. I mean, you are the right hand of the coaching staff, no question about it. And I know your leadership capabilities because you're on the Student Athlete Advisory Board. Mm-hmm. What's that all about?
Well, we have a couple of representatives from each athletic program on campus, and we meet every once a month or so to talk about what kind of events are coming up, how we can support each other, like what teams are doing what within the conference, and just notable activities.
And Brendon Manning, of course, from Cedar Rapids, honor roll student, 3 years, and I'm sure you're a tremendous student. Academic comes first in your family, is that correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of struggled this last semester with my academics, but that's definitely going to be more of a priority this semester, I think.
So too much basketball, too much extracurricular activities?
Honestly, I think it was just the classes I was in. I think I just had a tough semester. I was in accounting. I didn't really do very well in that class. Business law was another tough class for me, but I'm starting to get into the classes like more about my marketing major, so I think I'll start to understand it better and it'll become easier for me.
In case you're wondering, a lot of people struggle, including me when I was at UWL, with some of the same areas that you have struggled. But now you've kind of found the right path.
Yeah.
So you're a leader too, I know, just in your personality and talking to some of your teammates, which we discussed before we went on the air. How do you demonstrate your own style of leadership?
Just like Milt said, I've been trying to be a better vocal leader this year. Coach has been getting on all of us to just try and just say anything, just to help our teammates out during practice, whether it's like, hey, let's go, or, we got to do this. Like, just trying to be more of a vocal leader. And I think if I start working on that, it'll start to become more of a habit to me to start doing that every practice and every game. So
good. Coach, let's talk a little bit about kind of outside the lines a minute. There are a lot of authors now talk about the culture begins in the locker room. Mm-hmm. The culture is not what it used to be perhaps when you played, certainly when I played. Now it's all about relationship building. It's all about communication. It's all about consistency. It's all about caring. Mm-hmm. It's not what it once was. It starts in the locker room, and it moves from there. Mm-hmm. Describe your culture at UW and what you're trying to do.
Well, we're with them, as a coaching staff, if it's study table or in the weight room or in practice, let's just say at maximum 3.5 to 4 hours a day. So there's a whole lot of hours where the tone has to be set by these young men. In Brendon and Milton in particular have done a really nice job of doing that. But the first thing that we talked about when I interviewed, for this position is that we have to be it's not about me, it's about we, that you have to put the team first. And numbers, we have 18 guys on our roster, and 16, 17, and 18 are just as important as those first 5 guys that step out there and go through the starting lineup. And that's something that's very easily said in week 1 or week 2. But Terry, you know in basketball how it becomes a little bit more difficult when now those 200 minutes are being divided up. But I give a lot of credit to our guys for embracing, my culture, my philosophy of defense first, and being committed to that. And we've won some really good games in the non-conference. Handed St. John's their only loss on the entire season, who's currently number 4th. But give so much credit to our guys that they believed in that, but they've continued to reinforce that now. We're into week 16, Terry, and our goal is to be playing our best basketball week 18. And we have not done that yet. We've done it in spurts, and unfortunately, a few times we haven't gotten the result with a win, but we're right there. And we have to have a good practice today and another one tomorrow, and we have another ranked team coming in our place here this Saturday, Terry. So it's a great league, and our guys know if we can just stay true to that culture, putting the team first and being true to our defensive identity, that we can be playing our best basketball into week 18.
I'm sure our viewers are impressed with that, because that's what it's all about, developing a culture of caring and so on. Jay Billis has a book, I've read it a couple times actually, about toughness. Toughness doesn't mean toughness physically. It means being tough, knowing that your role, for example, may not be what you want. It may be on the bench. It may be leading in another way. How do you demonstrate toughness, Milton?
Just over my career, I would say it's been really a test for me mentally and physically. As far as my toughness, the first 3 years I've been here, I didn't play more than 100 minutes in a season, so I was really that guy at the end of the bench, cheering on the rest of my team, but I still showed up every day, and I had to have the toughness to come to practice ready to perform. And then over this year, a little bit of physical toughness, just playing through injuries, getting after it on the defensive end and just fighting fatigue off.
Defense is the great equalizer, as Coach Knight would always say. In all the 6 years I went to his camp and was a clinician, and I heard him say it about 20 times every single day. A couple quick things. Brendon, of course, your current stats in 20 games, you're averaging 9 points a game and 7 rebounds. You lead the team in rebounds. Are you satisfied with that? And are you tough?
Yeah, I would say I'm a tough player. Whenever I'm out there on the court, I'm just trying to be that spark plug, like making those extra plays, getting offensive rebounds, diving on the floor. One thing that toughness, I would say, kind of just describes to me is, after losing tough games like last night and just coming to practice the next day, being ready to play hard for however long we're practicing, whether it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, just grinding it out and going 100% every drill. So,
like a lot of coaches will say, they use one word when it comes to turnovers, bad shots, setbacks. The word is next. Mm-hmm. Just live with that word. Not that you repeat the same mistakes over again, and you are a junior, so you have one more year, and you're on to graduating, and then rapid fire drill as we end the show. Where are you going to be next year?
I'm looking to get an internship somewhere. There's a couple opportunities that I've been applying for lately. So
data analyst?
Yes.
Actuarian?
Yep.
Oh, that's talk about tough class. I don't
know if I can handle that.
I don't know if I could either. But you have 6 games left, or 5 games before the tournament on February 21st, and we wish you the best. I hear a lot of good things about what's going on campus. So, and what we just saw today reinforces what I have heard about the UWL basketball. So we want to thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having us, Terry.
Yeah, thanks, Terry.
Again, our guests are Milton Cummings, Brendon Manning, and Coach Kent Dembach. We'll be back with some film clips on some recent games right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, busy games on our schedule the last few days. On Friday night, our cameras were at Central High School for an MVC and an intercity matchup, the Red Raiders versus the Logan Rangers. Central's pressure defense left no doubt beginning early in the first half as they forced numerous Logan turnovers on their way to a 46-18 halftime lead. The pressure continued in the second half as the Central defense created a number of easy baskets for Todd Ferget's Red Raiders. Logan was led by 8 points by Calvin Maven and by C.J. Siegel. Central's balanced attack included 4 players in double figures. Johnny Davis with 17, Terrence Thompson 16, Noah Parcher with 15, and David Hayden with 12. Well, our cameras picked up a special scene as Logan senior Antonio Siegel scored his very first basket as time ran out. A special moment for that young man indeed. Final score from Central, the Red Raiders 82, the Logan Rangers 53. Well, we were also at the D.B. Reinhardt complex on Tuesday, the Aquinas Blue Gulls hosting the Holmen Vikings in an MVC game. Both teams started strong, with Holmen a slight 4-point lead at halftime. Holmen stretched that lead in the second half behind the hot shooting of Jimmy Gillespie, who hit 7 threes and totaled 23 points. Craig Newsom Jr. added 17. Sawyer Phillips added 15. Brendon Murfelt had a game-high 28 points, 17 of those coming after halftime. The star of the night was senior Conley Malone, who had 13 points and reached his 1,000-point mark for his career with the Blue Gulls. Outstanding career, a 3-sport athlete. Congratulations to Conley Malone. Final score from Aquinas, Holmen 74 and Aquinas 63. Well, that does it this week here on Seven Rivers Sports. We appreciate you joining us each and every week. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.